Okay, so we are going to go over an example for how to work through questions 6 through 10. Last week, you made several different distance time graphs to represent the distance traveled by a slug bug over 5 hours. Now we're going to use that data to calculate the average speed of the pink slug bug during each hour of the journey. So last week, you did calculate an average speed. You may remember the box that was right down here, but it was the total average speed. So for the entire 5-hour journey. Today, we're going to be looking at what was the average speed just during each individual hour. So between 0 and 1 hour, what was the average speed? We know how far the car traveled. It traveled 100 kilometers, but what was the average speed during that time? And then we'll calculate the average speed between 1 and 2 hours. Okay, so I'm going to go over the example for number 1. Let me grab my mouse real quick. It's not number 1. It's number 6 on your quiz. Calculate the average speed of the pink slug bug between time 0 and 1 hour using the formula average speed equals distance divided by time. Okie dokie. So let me grab my pen. We are only looking at between 0 and 1 hour. So we need to find out, okay, for our speed equals distance divided by time. Okay, so we need to find out the distance that was traveled just during this segment. So I can look right here at the graph, and I can see that the car started at 0 and ended at a distance of 100. I can also refer to the table just to double check since it does fall right in between. It's not right on a line. So just to make sure it was in fact 100, I could just double check right here on the data table. So to calculate the speed, the distance was 100 kilometers. And we're going to divide that by the total time that went by. So the time started at 0 and ended at 1 hour. So the total time between those points is a total of 1 hour. So the problem that I'm doing is a very simple problem. 100 kilometers, the total distance traveled in the first hour, divided by the total time, which was 1 hour. So we all know that 100 divided by 1 is 100 kilometers per hour. So you're going to do exactly this to solve for what was the average speed between time 1 hour and 2 hours. What was the average speed between 2 hours and 3 hours? What was the average speed between 3 hours and 4 hours? And what was the average speed between 4 and 5 hours? This is very similar to an activity that we did a couple of weeks ago with the students that were racing around the track, and we were calculating their intervals. So each time we're going to find what was the distance change. So between 1 and 2 hours, the car was at 100 at the beginning of this time period. And when it ended, it was at 60. So to find the difference, I would do 160 minus 100. So that means my total distance is right here. This total distance is 60 kilometers. That's the change. So that's what I would use for my distance. And then from 1 hour to 2 hours, the total time change, that would be 1 hour once again. So that helps you out to get started on question 7, where it's looking at in between 1 and 2 hours. Okay, so we will do this example in class, so make sure you're in class and ask any questions if you are confused at all on this type of problem.